Welcome back to the Kentuckiana Hoops podcast. I'm Noah Brightstein.
And I'm Cole Thompson.
On the fifth episode of the Kentuckiana Hoops podcast, we welcome Coach Tim Haworth. After 5 trips to Rupp Arena at Hopkinsville, Coach Haworth is currently the head coach at Louisville Male, where they just won their first regional crown in 17 years. What's up, Coach? How are you?
Hey, good, Noah. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Man, doing well. Just got back a little bit ago from Gulf Coast.
How was that?
Gulf Shores. It was good. It was really good.
That's awesome. We'd like to start the podcast off by asking you this question we ask every guest we have. So if we took you out on the golf course right now, what would you shoot?
Mid to upper 90s.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I'm not very good.
Okay, so to get into yourself, Coach, so you played college ball at Murray State. So how were you as a player?
I was good. And I say good, I was, not great at the collegiate level. I could really shoot it and handle it. The thing is, when you get to the Division I level, every guy on the team can play. He was probably the best player on their high school team, so it's tough to see minutes on the floor. So, anytime I got minutes on the floor, I was grateful for it.
While at Murray, you played for 2 great coaches in Tavester Anderson and Mick Cronin and got to play in an NCAA tournament. What did you learn from each coach, and what was it like being a part of a team that was in the NCAA tournament?
Coach T, I'm grateful for him, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been at Murray State playing basketball. And, Coach T was, he was, I think, when he was coaching us, he was in his late 60s. And so, he had recruited Charles Barkley, Chuck Person, all those guys to Auburn. He was an assistant there for many years. But Coach T is just a great person, great individual, really defensive-oriented coach. Mick, it was his first time being a head coach, at Murray. He was just, he was so much into attention to detail, great defensive-minded coach, really intense in practices and games. And I learned a lot, just a tremendous amount from both of those guys. But, I was fortunate to be able to play for both of those guys.
And what was it like playing in the NCAA tournament?
It was great, especially, one of my best friends is Chris Shoemate. He's an assistant coach now at Georgia Southern, but he played at Male, actually. And so it was great to be able to go to an NCAA tournament with all your buddies, that you'd spent 4 years together there with. And, we played Illinois. We were a 12 seed. They were a 5 seed. And, they were really good. They had Deron Williams and Luther Head and Augustine, D. Brown.
Right, that was the year they went to the Final Four, right?
Yeah, the year after.
Okay.
Next year they went to the Final Four. But you kind of knew they were going to be legit. I mean, they had a ton of talent. So you knew they were going to be one of the top teams the following year.
So after your playing career, what was your next step, and was coaching always on your mind, or was there anything else?
Yeah, so, coaching was always something that I wanted to do. And then Mick hired me as a grad assistant. And, at the mid-major level, especially then when you're a grad assistant, it's really like being the third guy, at a high major. So, I was in charge of film exchange, academics, so I did, and scouting. So I was able to learn a lot of stuff really at a young age, with Coach Cronin, just because, he made us all toe the line, and just really every single day we had to be professional and just and come in with a workman's like attitude into the office and whatever it was that we were doing. And so, I spent 2 years doing that, and I decided to get into high school basketball, and so the rest is history.
When you worked for Coach Cronin, did you know he was going to go on to have the success that he's had?
Yeah, I did, just because he's such a relentless worker, and then, he's such a good basketball coach. His IQ is extremely high, and, when you're that hard of a worker, and your basketball mind is like that, you know that you're going to have success at some level, and I just really felt that he had enough connections as well because a lot of it's who you know and some of this stuff. And I just felt like he had placed himself around, being around Bob Huggins and Rick Pitino. He had just placed himself around a lot of really good coaches and athletic directors where he was going to get a chance to coach at a high level.
Okay. And growing up in Mayfield, Kentucky, who were your coaching idols and who inspired you to enter the coaching profession?
Well, my dad grew up in Los Angeles, so I'm a huge Los Angeles Laker fan. So, when I was a kid, you were looking at like Magic and that whole Laker team. So Pat Riley was really my coaching idol. And then at the collegiate level, it was Rick Pitino. So those two guys are really the guys that I looked up to as far as, guys that I'd want to be like as far as coaching goes.
In 2010, you got the head coaching job at Hopkinsville. What was one of the reasons you wanted to take the job, and what was one of the challenges in your first year as a head coach at Hopkinsville?
Well, I was an assistant there for 2 years, and I absolutely loved that place, loved those kids. And, so Coach Simmons decided he was going to be the athletic director at another school. And so, obviously, I already had relationships with those players, and so I was really hoping that I would have an opportunity to be the head coach there. And Miss Joyce and the committee hired me, and so that made it really easy because we had already established ourselves in the community, and so that was one of the main reasons, that I wanted to coach at Hopkinsville.
And after 8 years, 200 wins, and 5 trips to Rupp Arena, you made the move from Hopkinsville to Louisville to take the Male job. So what was so appealing about the Male job, and what was the biggest changes between the two schools?
So Males, so there's only a couple, 2 or 3 jobs, I would say, in the state where you can just say that is like, that's like the Kentucky of high school basketball in the state. And to me, growing up in the state, everybody knows Louisville Male, the history that is there. And so, to me, there's no other history like it. I mean, they've got 4 state championships, 5 if you count this year because we would have won it. So you got these state champions, and then also, just the history of the school itself, academic-wise, just the way they hold everybody accountable. You got your shirt tucked in and you're wearing a belt, khaki pants. It's just an immaculate school. And, for me, there's a lot of jobs out there that are great jobs. There's no doubt about it. But for me, it's always going to be about leadership and the people you're working with. So as soon as I met John Kelsey, our athletic director, I knew that Male was the place I wanted to be. I mean, because there's nobody like him. I'll never have an athletic director like him, just because of how much time he puts in, how much he cares about the kids and about the coaches, all the coaches, not just me, but all of them. And so we're like a family. We call it the circle, but like we're family, and we have fun every day, win or lose. So it makes the winning and losing and all that come second. More than it is, it's about friendships more than anything. And so that was a huge reason. And then Dr. Jury, hiring me, I love our leadership at Male. We got a new principal, Dr. Foster, and he's tremendous. Like, we've just got great leadership. And so for me, it's about going to a place where not only do you have tradition, but you have guys that are in your corner 100%. And so, a lot of coaches don't have that. I can tell you that. A lot of coaches don't have that, and they've got it at Male, and I'm blessed to be the coach there.
In year 1 at Male, you won 22 games with some big wins, including a 3-overtime thriller over the eventual state champions. What was one thing you learned in your first year, and what would you go back and tell yourself knowing what you know now?
What I found out was that these kids were starved for success, and they wanted success. And, hey, listen, I really feel like if we had a couple of breaks go our way last year, like, we were right there. Trinity was a great team, and we're right there with them, and so it's like us and Ballard this year. I mean, 2 great teams. I felt like the 2 best teams in the state this year were us and Ballard. I felt last year it was us and Trinity, and so Trinity was just a little bit better that night, and they deserved it. And so what I found out that 100% Keith Cathy is in my corner, a great basketball coach, but just he's 100% in my corner. I found out that Mike Balfour, who was my JV coach, 100% in my corner and for those kids, just did an unbelievable job. I found out Brandon Brentlinger was 100% for those kids and in my corner. And so Troy Williams, 100% in my corner for those kids. So I figured out exactly who was on board with what we were doing. And, and that's the coaching staff that we have. And then we added Coach Hansley and Coach Cates this year. But what it does is it sets you up for years of success because of a loyalty that you have with coaches. And I know that they're for kids. And so that's what I found out more than anything the first year is that, hey, these kids are hungry. There's the male kids, I can't even explain it, but they're so, they've got dog in them, but they're also going to be great kids off the court. And so it's exciting to be a part of something special here.
You kind of hit on having a great staff is the key to long-term success. With losing such a great senior class this year, what other keys are there to sustaining long-term success at Male?
The thing is, and what we did was, I always try to play a lot of young players. And so, even for next year, one of my years at Hoptown, we lost 7 of our top 8 guys. And so everybody was like, oh, man, Hoptown's going to be 5th or 6th in the region. Well, guess what? We went back to the state tournament. And so you do that by putting young guys in positions in freshman JV games, but also in varsity games to at least see it. And so what we've got, even coming back next year, we've got 4 guys coming back that had started at some point the last 2 years. So we've got Dez, 6'7", Caleb, 6'7", Cam Pope, who will lead the region in scoring, and then Trey Stone, who's just a tremendous. Here's the thing: Trey scored 20 points in a game down in New Orleans against a team that won the state championship, and he was really starting to come on. Twisted his ankle so bad that he was out for the rest of the year. And Trey's the kid that started for me some too as well. So the thing is, we've got 4 great players coming back, and then we got an unbelievable freshman class that's going to be sophomores. All right, and then we got a great freshman class coming in. So what we do is we try to dress 4 or 5 freshmen every year on varsity so they can see it and they can be around the winning program, the winning tradition. And, if you do that, then you'll be able to sustain your success.
That's 100% right. So, unfortunately, we aren't having summer ball this year, but last summer ball session, you guys were favored and also went undefeated and were favored to win the 7th region coming after summer ball. What was it like to deal with all that pressure, and what were you going to do with those expectations?
Here's what I told our guys, and I'll tell them again next year. I really, and I mean this, I could care less about preseason rankings. What I do care about is where you finish at the end of the year. And so for me, it's about trying to be the best you can be every day. And I know that's cliche, coaching talk, but it's about, we can't really control, you're going to have some bad games along the way. And everybody's going to start talking and saying, well, this, but at the end of the day, it's about the district and the region. And as long as you put yourself in a position to win games in the district and region, you've got a chance to win the region and get to the state tournament. And then, for us this year, being preseason number 1 and then finishing number 1 in the state, it was an unbelievable season. And I'm not taking anything away from any other team that was at the state tournament. But we would have had to play a bad game for us to get beat. That's how good we were, and that's how good we were playing. To me, very seldom in the state do you see 2 teams like us and Ballard that are so far ahead of everybody else. And that's the way I felt the whole season. And I told our staff, whoever wins the 7th region championship is going to win the state title. There's no doubt in my mind, just because we had so much talent, both of those teams, and we would have had to play so bad in a game to lose it. And it's not being arrogant. Some people say, well, it's arrogant. It's not. It's just, I've never had it. This is my 6th. I've been a head coach for 10 years, and of all the state tournament teams, this was by far and away the best. And I've never said that about any of my other teams that went. And hey, we could have played bad and still won some games at the state tournament. And that's very seldom that you're going to have a team like that.
So winning 32 games in the 7th region, you guys had a really successful year, but didn't get to make the state title run due to the coronavirus. So do you ever play the what-if game?
Yeah, I mean, just, there's no doubt in my mind we would have been cutting the nets down. And I know the other 15 teams probably would say, here's the deal, like, if you're preseason number one and you end the season ranked number one, and I pretty much felt like we were going to be the best team. Once we got healthy, I felt like we were the best team all year long. And so, I really do in my heart believe we would have cut the nets down. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, our guys were so together, and, it was going to be a special moment. But like I told them before, like, nobody can ever take away the fact that we were number one we were unanimous number one at every poll. And so, we finished we did everything we could to win it. So
You kind of hit on earlier how you returned Caleb, Cam, Trey, and Dez, but you also have a really strong 2023 class with Jamal Chambers, Michi White, and Kyron Tilley. What do you expect from those guys going forward into next year?
Oh, they're going to be tremendous. They're going to have great sophomore years. We're deep. Even Jordan Mundell and Johnny. Like, we've got some other guys, that's going to be juniors and seniors. Selah Brown. Selah, the thing about Selah is he made a huge play. We're playing a top 25 team in the nation down in New Orleans. And I think we were down one with about a minute and a half to go. We were in foul trouble. He comes in, makes a huge play, gets the bucket to put us up. He actually probably won that game for us. And so, we got some guys with a lot of experience, but I feel like it's going to be a tremendous year, and I feel like those guys, those freshmen is going to be sophomores, Ethan Richards and Mike. Like, we got a lot of dudes, and, Xavier's another kid that has just had just a tremendous off season, just working. I've been hearing great things about him. And so, we're going to be very deep, and, we got a chance to make a really, really good run.
So we've noticed that the male basketball page has a really strong presence on social media. Is that one of the keys to building a program and the brand of male basketball?
Yeah, I really think it is. And, we want to, the purpose of our Twitter is to let our fans and make our kids feel special, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day. And that's what we try to do. We want to promote male basketball. And so everybody else has the opportunity to do that as well. And so, I know some people think, well, man, they're doing this, they're doing that. But, like, I could really, and it's not being arrogant, like, I could care less what anybody else is doing, because to me, if you're at a different school, you need to be promoting your kids the same way we do. And so I don't ever get aggravated or, get on social media and say, well, I can't believe this person said, we don't do that. And so all we concerned about is male and promoting our kids, and that's what we're about.
So other than the fact that Howard Fleming came back towards the end of the year, what was the difference between the team that lost in the King of the Bluegrass and lost in the LIT to the team that won the 7th region?
I think during the season, we didn't have Elijah Priest as well. So, you're looking at two major components. And then sometimes you just got to say, hey, through a 35-game season, there's going to be some nights where you might not play as well, but the other team might just play really, really, really good, and so that happens, you know what I'm saying? And so even with our losses, obviously if we had Howard and Elijah, we might not lose the game the whole year. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, when you take out two huge pieces like that, it's always going to be hard to be at your best. But at the same time, injuries is a part of the game, and so I thought we had a tremendous season. Even, we were 18-4 without Howard and Elijah. And so, for us to be able to do that without those two, I knew the team was special. But that's because of all the young guys that were buying into what we were doing as well. And then, Tyron and Jake and Noah and Kobe, those seniors, that was besides Elijah and Howard, they had 100% buy-in and just great leadership.
What is one thing that is different about your program that makes players love playing and being a part of that type of program?
Well, I'm always going to give guys freedom offensively. I am, and the thing is, and then when I hear coaches say, "Well, I'm going to give them freedom," that doesn't mean that we're going to let them take bad shots. No, we're going to play together. But I want you, working on your game. And so it's like even with Caleb for next year, I want him to be a guard. So he has to put the time in, which he is, but he's got to put the time in to be a guard and to be able to handle it and shoot it. But I give guys freedom, offensively to do their thing. And then defensively, you got to stay locked in. You got to guard and rebound. I don't care how good offensively you are. If you're not locked in defensively, you can't play. And so, our style, I think, makes people want to play. And the thing is, if I said, hey, we're going to average between 70, 80, 90 points a game, that's a fun system to play in. So, that's one thing that, when I think of male basketball, I think of up-tempo and giving guys freedom to do their thing offensively.
All right, and here's the last question. If you had someone watching one of your practices, what are one or two things you'd want them to take away from the practice?
One, that the guys play extremely hard. I want them walking away and saying, man, that's the hardest playing team we've seen all year. And then two, I want them to say they pay attention to detail. They run their stuff in practice. They screen well. They do all the things offensively that it takes to get a good shot on every possession. Doesn't mean that you're going to score a lot of points. Doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes, but are we being disciplined to take good shots and get the right kind of shots at the right time of the game? And that comes in practice and those kind of things.
All right, Coach, is there anything else you want to say to the listeners, where they can find you on Twitter, where they can find Male Basketball, anything like that?
Yeah, Louisville Male Basketball, you can find that on Twitter. Tim Haworth 13, is my personal Twitter account. Male Athletics, also does a lot of stuff, for all of our sports, but basketball as well. So, those are the three sites that I really, that you can find us on Twitter. And we'll appreciate everybody that supports us. And, it's a fun city. Love it up here in Louisville, but it's a fun city.
Well, I can say for all the Louisvillians, we are glad to have you here. And thank you for being on the Kentuckiana Hoops podcast. We really appreciate it, Coach.
Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys having us on.
This is Cole Thompson.
And I'm Noah Bridenstine.
Thank you for listening to the Kentuckiana Hoops podcast. For the rest of summer, we will have a new podcast coming out every Monday and Friday. Follow us on our social media pages, Twitter at KYIN Hoops, Instagram, Kentuckiana Hoops, and check out our website at www.kentuckianahoops.net.